So I'm about to go for a walk through the Yishuv. I'm at the bottom of the old section and I'm gonna go into the new section and back. Turn on the lights so when I come back it's not completely dark. I guess that light in the kitchen will do for now. Well, usually I like to have this light on. So this is the front yard I was talking about. Now there's like no cover when the sun comes. The sun is usually like right there, and if I sit right there, this tarp kind of keeps it out, but I really like to get a brand new tarp, a really, really big tarp, and cover this whole area. And nail gun it to the wall there, the wall of the house. Maybe even nail gun it to the wall over there, and then nail gun it over here, and into the fence. The nail gun's like 4,000 shekel. Even if I had a credit card, I couldn't do it. I'd have to somehow get into the cash or have a friend who has that kind of money to send it to me. And that's not including import fees unless they buy it on a local Israeli website. This tarp also, I've seen them on Amazon. I think I've seen it on AliExpress, and I've seen it on an Israeli website, give or take the same price. 600, 700, 800 shekel for the kind of tarp I'm talking about. Yeah, expenses. Need about 9,000 shek for dental implants. I'm missing one molar, and the dentist I went to go see earlier this week, he said I'm going to lose another tooth. He didn't give me an estimate of when, but it's understandable. I mean, that tooth broke on a candy bar. What was it, 1 winter ago, 2 winters ago, and he said I'd had a root canal done, but I didn't remember that. I just remember the dentist, like, shaving down the tooth and fitting me for a crown, which in itself was like 1,900 shek, but, you know. And then there's, a lawyer to sue the Israel Pnim government to get me a Teudat Zehut. I have technically a number from the police. It's called a Teudat Zehut effectivity, but I can't use it to get a bank account. Not that I have that kind of money, but if I scrimped and saved, 100 shek here, 100 shek there, theoretically I'd have something to put in a bank account. And that way, if I go to a dentist or anywhere really, I'm not showing up with a wad of cash. There's the added benefit. You go to a mikvah and you don't have to worry about having a wad of cash stolen. Although technically, the only mikvah I frequent these days has cameras throughout, but still, are they always watching? Although technically my clothing is typically different than what people wear in the mikvah, so I guess, if something did happen, they could easily catch the guy, but still, it worries me. What else is there? Oh yeah, tomorrow I'm going to start in on the knockoff Lego Ford SUV. It's a pretty nice design that I saw on AliExpress. I think it was like 500 shek, and then I had to pay another 140 or something. Shipping, import fees. It got delivered right to the house. I guess that was nice, but for all intents and purposes, I would have been fine going to pick it up. I was thinking about going to the old city tonight, trying to collect my minimum 50, but I don't know, my stomach's kind of hurting. A lot of gas, anxiety. I mean, technically, if I got up and went and done something, maybe it would disappear. Which is why I'm going for this walk. I forgot my cigarettes. It's like when I go for a walk on Shabbat. I do smoke around the house. I mean, not technically necessarily in the house. I try to avoid smoking in the house. But I try to avoid public desecration of Shabbat. I may be a little ticked off that God can't find me a wife and that I can't seem to get an income that, can pay for my own home and support a wife and kids. But for my needs, it seems to be more or less meeting my needs. Although it depends on needs, right? what are needs? I would very much like to have a piece of ID and then find a wife or a girlfriend and, once in a while travel to another city like Beersheba or Haifa or Eilat and be able to book a, what do you call it, an Airbnb or a motel, stay for a night or two. But without ID, I can't book anywhere. I basically have to camp out somewhere, which I've done, but it's kind of terrifying. You never know if you're gonna get robbed. You never know if the police are gonna come by and say, oh, you can't be here, you gotta go somewhere else. And what if it's a little chilly out? Technically it was like 32 degrees today, 32 Celsius. But right now it only feels like 20, maybe less even with the breeze. I'm grateful I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, even though it's rolled up. But, if it gets chilly, I can roll down the sleeves and, I can button it up all the way. I got a hat on, I got pants on. Right before I left, I turned down my fan because it's not that cold, not that hot. That bus is going to Charbonneau, I think. And instead of the I'm on it, so that typically means going to Charbonneau, but it's no guarantee because sometimes the buses, they don't change their signs right away. Heck, sometimes the buses change their routes midway. I know of at least twice, I think, that bus arrived at my stop and it changed to what his destination was. So today the bus I took to get back to Adam from Charbonneau, typically they just drop off, they don't pick up. Also, those buses that drop off, they go and they take like 20-minute break or an hour break or whatever it is. But this guy dropped off and picked up at the same time. So that was unusual. It was nice. Otherwise I would have to wait another 3-4 minutes, assuming the bus was running on time, because it seemed he picked up a little early. You never know. Sometimes you show up at the stop and the sign says next bus 30 minutes, and the bus shows up, a minute later or 10 minutes later, and it's actually showing you when the one after him is coming. I don't know. Anyways, so this is the path to the new area of the Yishuv, where they're building new houses and new buildings. And I figure I'll record my walk and then upload it to YouTube, like I did my 40-minute little talk 2 nights ago. It's not as if I'm busy. Technically I could have started that Lego tonight or anytime today. I was thinking about it. I just want to save it for Shabbat because there's like nothing to do. I used to go to shul on Shabbat. In fact, often I'd go to shul in the morning, and then I go to the base medrash, and then I'd go to friends or back home to eat by myself, and then maybe take a nap, and then go back to the base medrash. I don't know how many days, weekdays and Shabbatot, I'd spend, I don't know how many hours in the base medrash. I was for like 10 years plus making sure like minimum half an hour I was in the Beit Midrash, and sometimes I was even there for like 14 hours, minus cigarette breaks or going to the grocery store or restaurant to get something to eat. But, basically I valued what I was studying, and it just got to the point where it was like there's no jobs and there's no wife, there's no dates even. I don't mean the guys, like nobody's wife had a friend, and nobody's, none of the elders had a daughter that they wanted to set me up with, and nobody had a thriving business that they wanted to, 10 plus years. I worked in a cheder, and I quit that pretty fast because I came across halacha that said that unmarried guys not supposed to work with kids because the mothers are going to come around, and who knows what kind of impropriety might happen. It's not likely that it would because I have no pickup skills. And then a few years later, like 2017 or 18, I got a job at a liquidation department store. Actually, it didn't even last like a year, the store. guy told me he wanted me for security, and then said I had by the end of the week to get a security uniform. But the law in Canada is that you can't have a security uniform unless you have a security license, security training. And at that point, I would have been willing to do it had he paid for it. Technically, if I'd known about AliExpress, I probably could have bought myself a security uniform, there. But to get an official one, you'd actually have to go through training, which, would have been good, because you'd want to know what the laws are in your locale before you take on a position. Previously, 2006, 2007, I worked for a real estate lawyer doing computer stuff like data input and deliveries, filing. I also did a little bit of IT work, designed his first website. I don't remember how I stumbled across it, but Google had created web creation tools, like website creation tools, and for like $25, I made this guy his first website. And before that and after that, I worked for baby feeding accessories and various different creams distributor. First it was inbound sales and data entry, packing up orders, shipping the orders, once in a while deliveries. But when he wanted to move me into telemarketing, I really wasn't interested. Also, I 2004 broke up with my girlfriend, so I stopped having a reason to want to live, let alone work. Same thing 2007. I wasn't happy with my girlfriend, as opposed to in 2004 I was happy with her. I just couldn't figure out how we could sustain our life. My job, I was making $9 an hour and she was in college. In 2007 I was making like $10.50 an hour Canadian. And I didn't want to be with her anymore. I mean, I liked having sex with her, but that was about the extent of it. My first girlfriend, I didn't want to be away from her. I mean, I confided in her. The sex was great. I thought she was super cute. I thought she was, I don't know, like my other half, People say, oh, she'll come around, I'm like, no, I already had that one. I blew it. I had her for 2.5 years and I completely freaking blew it. And it's not completely my fault. Our rabbis got us thrown out of our respective institutes of higher learning because of our inappropriateness. What was inappropriate? We were of appropriate age, seeking an appropriate relationship, but they didn't want to get us married. They were supposed to be the guardians and the teachers leading the way, and instead we became pariahs having a forbidden relationship. Welcome to relationships amongst the ultra-Orthodox, amongst the, I forget what the parochial school system. Yeah, no, you're supposed to meet somebody under formal conditions and if I had a time machine, I'd go back to fall of 2001, screw the studying and just take her to the steps and see what we could collect and see about getting an apartment and getting married. Of course, I probably would have spoken to my rabbi about getting us married. Choice. And if I was 20 years old, I'd probably try and push up this one, but she lives around the corner from me, I think. Seen her get off the bus. Oh, joyous. At least it's a pleasant night. It's a nice walk. That girl just passed me. She's like me and a half, or maybe even 2 times my size. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are plenty of nights when I would take her or being alone. But in the long term, there's like no eye candy. I mean, on a biblical level, it's probably forbidden to have a girlfriend or a wife who's too attractive because, then you're getting other people to wanting what somebody else has. But on the other hand, being married to somebody you don't find, attractive. My first girlfriend, I mean, she wasn't sexy, but she was adorable and cute and lovable. I mean, I guess on some level every human being is lovable, and if I was physically bigger, I'd probably find a lot more women adorable and lovable. But I'm a small guy, and I want a woman who's like my size or smaller. I want to love that woman. I want to find her adorable. I don't want to find her intimidating. I don't mind finding her intelligence intimidating. That'd be fantastic. I want a wife who's smarter than me, but I want her to be physically smaller than me. I want her to be lovable. And if she's smarter than me, then I've got what to respect about her. And if she's God-fearing, all the more so. This woman with the almost 2-year-old daughter, if her whole issue was about marriage, nothing to do with income, I'd marry her, assuming she wanted to get married. But every time we talk, it comes down to supporting. How the heck can I support her? And she's right, I can't support her, let alone her baby. Technically I do a lot of fundraising. I try anyways, and I'm sure people would kick in a lot more if they knew there was a 2-year-old who needed looking after, although they'd probably get pissed at me because, why don't I get a job? But, those same people that kick in $1, $5, $10, $100 from me as a single guy, I imagine they'd at least do the same if there's another person and a baby in the picture. It's not my hopes to live on charity, but I don't have the means of making it any different. I thought that having a Lego museum might be a great way to make a little bit of an income, If I have technically a storefront and, like 1,000 different Legos, charge 100 shek per head to come in and look at them. On any given day, make easily 1,000 shek. You get 10 people, kids come in free, adults 100 shek a head. But it's no touching. I guess I'd have to get some sort of plastic or glass cases to be able to show them. And ideally, it'd be a relatively large place. That way, there'd be a whole play section for kids to build their own Lego ideas, whatever. I know as a kid, I used to love that. My mother, she would buy me all sorts of sets, and then when I finished building them, take them apart and try and build my own things. A race car with wings, a tank with wings, things like that. I'm looking at 2, 3, 4 sets that I still want to get. 5 sets really, and that's already in the thousands of shekels. You got the Iron Man Tower, Stark Tower, that goes for like 800 shek. There's I think it's a Lamborghini sports car. That's going to be like another 400 or 500 shek, maybe more. There's a vintage Mercedes. It kind of looks like a Model T, but you can tell it looks nicer. It actually looks more like a Rolls Royce, the original Rolls Royce, like you'd see in Indiana Jones movies, the original Indiana Jones movies. And there's also the Batmobile Tumbler. Although once we're already talking about that, I wouldn't mind getting. There's the Batmobile from the Michael Keaton movies, or is it? Yeah, Michael Keaton. I always get them confused. Michael Keaton and Val Kilmer. Michael Keaton, the Batman, from like 1989 or something. I still remember. I was staying at my grandparents in Ottawa. Must have been with my father. Heck, it might have been both my parents for all I remember. And come Saturday night, what are we going to do with the night? And my grandfather went to the shul. The shul had a library, maybe still has a library, and maybe it's even still there. Batman on VHS. My grandfather brought it back home, Popped in the set, and I got to see it. What is it? Danny DeVito is the Penguin, and I'm gonna say Susan Sarandon, but it might be Michelle Pfeiffer. I don't know, who the heck remembers? I could Google it, but who cares? As Catwoman, and then Michael Keaton as the Batman. I don't remember who else was in. Oh, Jack Nicholson played the Joker. Yeah, maybe Danny DeVito was as the Penguin was in a later one with Val Kilmer. I get those a little confused. Got a lot of things confused, and I'm getting old. I'm already 41 years old. I feel like I'm 10 sometimes. Other times I feel like a teenager, like when my hormones are raging. Heck, my libido's so dead, I feel like a 10-year-old, maybe a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, yeah. Look at attractive women, and it's like, I could never have that. How do I get that? At the other time, I feel like I'm 41 years old, my libido's dead. I'm dying, I'm getting old. So as you can see on the right side is construction going on. Seems to me it's been the same construction status for, like since I moved into Adam like 4 years ago. Maybe people bought the plots and they just don't have the money to build it all at once. You have the cost of the materials, the cost of the plot of land, cost of the workers. A lot goes into these kind of things. You got other houses that are fully built and people living in them. This one's got a dog. Sometimes I walk by and I hear it. Well, for all I know, the dog's dead. I didn't hear it last time I walked by. Maybe the last 2 times. You have more construction coming up on this side. And you got down here is more buildings and houses that are built. Technically, this community is ready to grow. Just needs people to move in. I would prefer, some single women, but if they move in by themselves, then may not be looking. I don't know. I more or less enjoy the walk here. It's kind of quiet. Then again, I kind of enjoy walks just about anywhere. I one time walked pretty much all the way downtown from where I was living in Toronto. A good 2-3 hour walk on a Friday afternoon. Turned into Friday night. That was when I stopped keeping Shabbat. Not that day precisely. I technically stopped keeping Shabbat for cigarettes and weed. But though that's the technicality, the reason that I stopped keeping Shabbat was because here I was being this as orthodox a guy as I could be, and nobody in the community is getting me a job, and nobody in the community is setting me up on dates in 10 years. Yeah, from 2008 to 2018, I went on 2 dates. Yeah. When I came back from yeshiva in Crown Heights, New York, my landlord set me up with 2 women in the community. 2 Russian Jewish women. Balut Tshuva. Both of them relatively attractive. Age appropriate. And neither one of them wanted to go out again. No surprise. No income. No charisma. Just faith in God. Well, that'd bet a guy far in life. The song by King Solomon. And some Orthodox homes sing Friday night, Eshet Chayil Miyimtza. Often translated as a woman of valor, but also a soldier woman, who can find. And it finishes off with, but a woman who fears God is to be praised. Which, makes sense. Chances are, if a woman fears God, she's not going to cheat on her husband, even if he's not the greatest guy in the world. I wouldn't cheat on my wife because I find it so difficult to get, dates. Ironically, a month after I met my first girlfriend, I kissed another girl. But, having one woman attracts others. So, assuming God sets me up, a beautiful, wonderful, loyal, and of course adorable woman. And she wants to be mine, and, you know, makes it relatively easy on me. I don't mean for sex, I mean living together, to be husband and wife. You know, I don't really know what goes into that because I moved away from home so many times, and my home life was disrupted so many times that for me, you know, just to have a woman to cuddle with and have sex with. And, I mean, ideally, I'd want to do, you know, the Friday night meal, and maybe the Shabbat day meal. Although I might be exhausted, I might want to stay in bed and just build my Lego. But who knows? You know, maybe slowly. And I've kind of figured that, you know, if I have a wife, I'd have more of a social life. You know, she'd meet people, and we get invited to places where we'd have people over. I like to cook. I hope that she likes to cook. I hope that we meet people who like to cook. You know, friends who can help me put up the tarps I want to put up and install the air conditioner. And come Sukkot, you know, I want to ideally have a sukkah, you know, and not be just me and her. I mean, lonely and boring as can be, but, you know, hopefully have some friends over, go to friends. You know, I don't really care if I live in Adam, or if I live in Eilat, or if I live in Beersheba, or Haifa, or Kidumim, or anywhere. It's just like, or Yerucham. Eliyahu Sheen wants to go check out Yerucham. It's bigger. It's got like 11,000 people. But, you know, getting to Jerusalem every day is like a 2-hour trip, and a 2-hour trip back. You know, I don't exactly make a huge income collecting on the steps to motivate me. I've gotten into the habit typically of going in. I really don't understand what happened this morning. I kind of just crashed halfway, also slept in. You know, and every time I think I'm running out of TV to watch, I find more. Like, today I found out that Star Trek Discovery has a 5th season, and downloaded the first 5 episodes, and before going grocery shopping, watched most of the first episode, and it was pretty interesting, you know. It's definitely not the kind of Star Trek that I remember growing up with, Next Generation, and not the Star Trek that I kind of fell in love with Voyager, and kind of had a little bit of an infatuation with DS9, but that kind of faded because, I don't know, I really don't know. And you got Babylon 5, which is not Star Trek at all, but it's a similar concept. I mean, it's aliens on a ship. You got Lex. Lex is similar. You got Red Dwarf. Star Wars, it's not always aliens on a ship. I mean, it's not a ship going places, you know, and discovering and the drama that happens on the ship. That was more of, I can't remember the name of the show. The guy from Home Improvement, I'm pretty sure he was in that. I was disappointed it got canceled. It had like 1-2 seasons, really, really good. I liked it. And they canceled it. Discovery, it's been off and on for me. I mean, first season, I found it hard to get into because the Klingons look different, like they'd given them a whole new look. You have the same thing in the original Star Trek. You know, I can't even remember his name. The Canadian guy, what's his name? And Leonard Nimoy. Oh, joy. See, this house looks like it's occupied, but I can't tell. Well, there's a light on, so I guess there's a lot of stuff in the yard. There doesn't seem to be anybody ever around. Maybe they're moving in slowly. Could be their vacation house, you know. How do I know? I'm sure there are some wealthy people in the country. I'm sure whoever owns Rami Levy is wealthy. You don't own that many grocery stores and not make a few shekels. Although technically they are cheaper on some items. But, you know, I find it negligible. But then again, they're not really buying in bulk to be able to see the massive differences that might be. You know, about 3 bags of 3 small bags of Doritos Nachos flavor today, and mine 2,000, mine I'll buy them for 10 shekel, versus I usually get 1 bag at a time, or 2 bags at a time. At the Roman market, he charges 5 shekel per. You know, I was looking at the Osem potato chips. I really wanted to get Ripple, but didn't want to get Doritos. I like those Osem Ripple plain flavor potato chips, but they didn't have Ripple, they just had regular, and it was $12.50 a bag for 150 grams. I guess basically it was more than what to celebrate. I don't even know if you want to call potato chips celebrate. It wasn't exciting, it was just, it ain't that exciting really. I guess the more you invest in it, the more it is exciting. I don't know. I used to hang out with my buddy Dostoevsky's, and pretty much everything was great. There goes the lizard. Just saw a lizard. I don't know. When you cook, it gets tedious. When you cook for others and they don't appreciate it, it really gets tedious. You know. But you need things in life to drive you. These knockoff Lego sets. Technically, I have enough money in my PayPal to order another one, but I'm always terrified that the money's not going to continue. Can I really bank on it? You know, I got lucky. Somebody sent me 500 shekel this morning, but can't rely on it. You know. And I don't really have the space to build them anymore. You know, this Ford, it's going to be as big as my Lamborghini SUV. I don't have room for another thing that big. And the whole point of building these set, well, there's 2 points. One is to keep myself occupied. There's not much to do around the house. Technically, I could be like Shmuel Greg Tepper and clean the house once a day or every other day or whatever it is he does it. But I don't clean. Today I vacuumed a little bit. I figured it was time. I just got this vacuum, might as well try it out. There was a huge buildup of dust and ash and dirt. So, once it's done, it's done. You don't have to do it for like 2 years. I gotta cross the street just in case the car goes this way. I can't honestly remember this way. I'm sure it'll happen. And what else is there? Yeah, I gotta find a place to put it. Oh, and I remember that the video I did exhibiting my Legos, I skipped over the Arch de Triomphe for the Triumphal Arch. Forgot to mention it, right behind the Mini and the little scooter or motorbike or motorcycle, whatever the hell that was. Right there. I didn't even notice it until I looked over the video afterwards. So this is Adam Mizrach. Yeah, it's very serene. I've been this way since I moved here. I mean, the only time there's ever been any action was shortly, like around October 7th. So we saw some troop movements. I might have seen some rockets, I want to say nearby, but pretty much everything's nearby. This country's not huge. A couple weeks ago when they said that Iran was shooting rockets at Israel, I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything. I don't even check the news ever. The whole October 7th thing. The only reason I heard about it is because I was visiting a Kabbalah yeshiva. Right, Paris was giving a lecture at like 4 o'clock or 4:30 p.m. And then Rabbi Shimshon was coming in like 5:30 or something like that. And so they mentioned it, but otherwise, I don't know, on the street, I guess people say things. I don't usually listen to what people are saying. If they bless me, then I'm like, yeah, let's see it happen. Be healthy. That's why my stomach has so much gas and so much trouble breathing and, panic attacks from the heat, the cigarettes, the joints. Quit the joints, because, I don't know, it just got to be too much. But I can see on the steps, like my smoking is just so heavy. And, when I wake up, but I'm saying like, when I get my head out of that paradigm, and I just realize like my life is going nowhere, even though I've met so many millions of people. I mean, encountered so many millions and met thousands, and yet nothing really seems to be improving that much. My cousin moved out of the house, but he lost an eye. You know, like that's not a positive trade-off. You know, if he had said, you know, he was bored of living in Adam, it's so boring, and moved back to Canada, or met a girlfriend and decided they're gonna go live in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv or Eilat or wherever the heck. So at least he moved on to something positive. He lost an eye from epileptic seizures. That doesn't bode well for the neighborhood, for the house, for me. It just means something negative, and he left. And I didn't become the owner, and I don't really want to become the owner because there's property tax and the water bill and the electrical bill. And I don't know what else goes into owning a house. You know, I didn't want to own a house until all this kind of finances was, if not covered, then at least I could foresee that my income would cover it. But as it is, I don't see how my income could cover anything. I mean, technically right now there's, you know, just under 500 Canadian in my PayPal. And my bank account, thank God, has what it has. But I can't even go to the utilities company or the property tax office. I don't even know what the heck that would be. Assuming it even exists, because I mean, I don't know whether to believe people when they tell me things. And say, oh, do you accept PayPal? Or what about my Canadian debit credit card? Will that go through? I've never had my card work at point of sale. I've only ever had it work online. You know, even New Delhi, which accept my card, I have to do the order online. It's really weird. Didn't work at Rummy Levy. I haven't tried it at Mayan 2000. I think I tried it at Super Sol. I don't think I tried it at Super Farm. I tried a bunch of these electronics companies, you know, to get the fans and the air conditioner. Heck, it's not just Israeli companies. I know at least one website, maybe two, where I wanted to get a replica Breitling Super Ocean Heritage 2 Black. Alternatively, there was another model, also a Breitling Super Ocean Heritage, not Heritage, Super Ocean, day chronograph, and my card failed. Which, in retrospect, I was grateful because I kind of would rather have the money. You know, even the watch I'm wearing, which cost me a whopping 300 shek. When it arrived, it's like, I paid 300 shek for this. And I looked on AliExpress, there's similar models that go for 100 shek. You know, I was tempted to buy one of those just to see, is this one really 3 times the value? You know, as opposed to the original Omega Seamaster 300M. Is that really worth 76 times this? You know, 300 shek versus 23,000 shek. I can't imagine a real Omega Seamaster 300 meter is worth 23,000 shekels. You know, and I've got a knockoff IWC that I paid 100 shekel for. And a buddy of mine has the real one. I'm pretty sure it goes for like 5,500 US, which is also, you know, like 20,000 shekels. I just don't see how a timepiece could be worth that much. You know, there was a guy yesterday or 2 days ago that came by, gave me a shekel or two or whatever, and he was wearing a Rolex. I was like, is that a real Rolex? He's like, yeah, I hope so. I was like, did you know, I read an article that said if you take apart a Rolex to its component parts, it's not even worth $600. A Rolex, its component parts are not worth $600. And people pay hundreds of thousands shekels or dollars, depending on how old it is in the model, you know, for a Rolex. You know, Don't get me wrong. You know, I have yet to find a TAG Heuer or a replica TAG Heuer that I'm willing to pay the price for. You know, not the originals and not the replicas. I happen to like some aspects of the TAG Heuer Formula One design. I happen to like certain aspects of the TAG Heuer Carrera design. I happen to like certain aspects of the TAG Heuer Aqua Racer design. But not a single one of them am I willing to pay not that I could, for a real one or for the replica. They're just not worth it. It's not that nice a watch to invest that much. If I found it on AliExpress for 200 check, I probably would. You know, the Formula One, the Carrera, forget about it. I don't even think I could ever wear it. It's just, to me, it's just too tacky. It's just something about it. It's just. And the Aqua Racer, I like it. I used to like the Curium. I think it's called Curium. But that passed. When I first started working for that baby feeding accessories guy, I was infatuated with one of the signature designs of TAG Heuer. If I'm not mistaken, it's called Link. And I was actually fiddling with some of the designs on Microsoft Paint. Back in the good old days of Microsoft Windows, what was it, 3.1? Or yeah. Then we slowly moved into Vista. Then we slowly moved into 7. And then, well, I don't even know where Windows is at anymore, because other than my cousin's computer with a pirated version of Windows 7, I haven't touched a computer in I don't know how long. I came here with a laptop, an Acer or an Asus. Heck, it might not even been a laptop, it might have been a netbook. I really wanted to get a Lenovo ThinkPad, but those are really expensive. I found this Acer or Asus on eBay for like $250, like including shipping. With, like a 250 gigabyte hard drive SSD. I don't think it had a CD reader, but you know, I wasn't using CDs anymore, or DVDs. In fact, I don't remember ever using really DVDs. You know, just download whatever movies and music I want, just leave it on the hard drive. And I had an SD card with like 25 gigs of music that I was trying to, you know, be able to transfer between devices. Plug it into a phone to have it, plug it into a computer to have it. But that was in one of my phones that fell in the toilet after I'd done a doo-doo. Tried to wash it off, but it just didn't happen. I gave it to somebody else to see if they could prepare it for me, bring it back to life. It didn't happen. If the phone I'm using right now, the Xiaomi 13C, Xiaomi Redmi 13C, if this one crashed on me, I don't know if I'd buy another phone. I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to be able to use my finances, and my finances are mostly online. But at the same time, it's like, there's not really that much I need, let alone want. You know, Goldie's for Shabbat. I have the cash, I'd rather go to the grocery store and cook stuff myself. Yeah, they have an interesting selection, but I don't know. It's just making myself I feel more inclined to eat it. You know, typically salad, the Waldorf salad took me until yesterday and today to eat them. Or wait, today, typically 2 days ago. The Tostitos, okay, that's not something I can do. I don't know how to bake. I don't know how to bake bread. I don't know how to bake a cake. I sure as hell don't know how to make a kugel. Although I one time did. One time at my mother's house, I did make a sweet noodle kugel. Sweet luxury. I remember going off over to my uncle's place of work with a piece for him to try. He only worked like a 15-minute walk away from my mother's house. They've moved since then, but back then it was like 2003 or something, 2004, I don't know when. Maybe that's another thing my girlfriend did. She gave me a new respect for my mother. Nah, I was working on my independence. My mother let me have free reign in the kitchen. I didn't cook on Shabbat, and I'm pretty sure I didn't cook meat in her milk dishes or meat in her dairy dishes, but I wouldn't be surprised she had to kosher them again. My cousin's kitchen's a whole other story. The whole place is a disaster. If I had the house, to myself, or Shmuel relinquished any form of ownership whatsoever, permissions, I might want to throw away all the pots, and all the pans, all the cutlery, and start over. The crock pot, I don't think I threw out. It's way too new. But the one pot that I did buy, it's missing one of those rubber things to handle it when it's too hot, which is not too big a deal because you can use a towel to hold it, or you can just hold it by one side and stir whatever. But initially that was bought as a meat pot, and then years later, literally. But the next time I used it, because I had stopped using the kitchen when my cousin was around. Even when Shmuel's around, I rarely ever used it. But there was one day I came home early, had to get a package, and I figured why not cook myself some lunch. And so I made some macaroni and cheese. In retrospect, I think I didn't get the package. They told me to come back the next day. I'm not sure. I'd have to check my records. But in any case, there was, and the cost of all the food, it was more time and financially efficient to have just gone out to a restaurant, anywhere really. Could be if I did a calculation, it might be more worthwhile for me to get prepared foods at Amigos or Goldie's or somewhere else every Friday. But there's so much time on my hands, and then come Shabbat, what am I going to do with myself? I don't want to go to shul and praise God for all the miracles when I don't have the two things that are most important to me. A career that can make and does make plenty of money, and a beautiful, wonderful wife. I wouldn't mind to have a decent relationship with my siblings, but to me that's not a be-all and end-all. To me, the most important thing is that there's a woman who enhances my existence, that she wants to spend time with me. This Reno woman, when she saw me at the bus stop, and I saw her at the bus stop again, and she comes over to me and she's trying to get me to interact with her daughter, Michali, the little almost 2-year-old, and I feel bad because, here's a baby, and babies are sometimes fun. Even when they're not fun, they're adorable, I imagine that if she moved in with me, or if I moved in with her, most of the time, or maybe half the time, would be spent dealing with the baby. I probably wouldn't be able to lounge around in bed watching TV all day. But I wouldn't mind that, and I wouldn't hold it over the kid, Okay, maybe once the kid got to be like 4 or 5 years old and could manage for themselves a little bit. But at this age, less than 2 years old, or when I first met the mother and the kid, like over a year ago, I could never hold something against a baby that size. Sometimes I'm afraid to interact with the babies because I don't know what the parent will think. I overcome that pretty fast as a baby. What negative thoughts can a person have about a baby? When it comes to kids, more so. When it comes to kids, you can really influence them wrong. And then it's a matter of what TV, if any, parent would be willing to show their kid. Baby or toddler or child. Some parents would be completely against TV, and some parents would be against, if it's rated R or PG-13, or, these are things I've never had to think about because I've never had kids in my life, really. When I was a foster foster brother. And I never watched anything that was age inappropriate when he was around, but that was mostly because there was nothing age inappropriate to watch. You know, all the stuff that I watched, his parents let him watch freely. You know, every once in a while, on a Sunday night, you know, they'd rent a movie that was not for the little ones, but they'd already be in bed. You know, I remember after watching Primal Fear, the foster mom got on the phone with I don't know who, and she was telling them that they'd let me watch my first porn. And in my head I'm thinking, that wasn't porn, and I've already seen porn. You know, in 6th grade somebody bought the advertisement page of a pornography magazine to school. You see all sorts of inappropriate images with all sorts of jewelry attached to them, and I was like, what the hell's going on here? Not to mention your penis enhancements. And then when I was 12 and we got the internet, I mean, basically the only places I went on the internet were chat rooms looking for chicks, which none of them seemed to be in Toronto, but that didn't bother me. I was only interested in, you know, getting nudie pictures from strangers, girls, women, and going to porn websites. So like waiting 5 minutes for a picture to load. Oh, the days of dial-up internet. You know, now I'm 41 years old, and porn is like, you know, if I had a wife, I'd have like almost no need for porn, assuming she was relatively attractive. You know, which, you know, if you look back 100 years, maybe even 50 years, people who wanted to stay together didn't have that issue. They liked being with each other, and it wasn't about the physicality necessarily, it was about a relationship. And I have no relationships. Maybe the internet was the beginning of the downfall. You know, maybe that's why my parents got divorced. Maybe both of them got too much stuff from the wrong sources and could no longer love each other. My grandparents on both sides, they stayed together towards the end. You know, my mother's parents died pretty much right at the advent of the internet, at least what we colloquially call the internet, because my first foster dad, he said the internet actually came about in like the 1940s or 50s or something in the army, but the internet as we call it, you know, with everything out there for anybody to find. That was in the early to mid 90s. You know. And my dad's parents, they weren't even on the internet, emails and whatnot, until like the last 3-4 years of their life. They were getting up there in age, and I guess it just wasn't something that could enhance their life. But I guess they wanted to stay in touch with some of the other people that, I don't know, grandkids getting emails instead of phone calls. I stay away from phone calls pretty much. It's like one guy I call, or accept his calls, but even that's not constant. You know, and he's against getting a smartphone, and I'm back in Toronto. I wasn't into getting a smartphone because then I'd have to get a data plan, and that's expensive in Canada. You know, they don't give away internet in Canada. In Israel, it's one of the cheapest things you can get. You know, I get 125 gigabytes per month for 60 shekel. You know, that's basically the cost of 2 packs of cigarettes. It's nothing. It's a month's worth of data. Can I use more than that? Sure, it's possible. There have been months where I've used more than that, but typically I don't. I mean, when I first got this phone, I was downloading like crazy. When I first got the SD card in this phone, I was downloading like crazy. I was filling it up with stuff for when the power goes out. You know. I may not always be in the mood to download something new. But I could be lounging around and just want to watch something that is on my phone already, you know. It's happened. You know, I watched the first 2 Lethal Weapons not too long ago. And there's no way I would have downloaded them on the spur of the moment. I downloaded them to store them. This is something I'd want to watch again. you know, Mel Gibson's Payback. I think I downloaded it, but I can't be certain. That's something I would want to watch again. Resident Evil movies, I think so, but I'm not sure. And even all this stuff, you know, it's like once it's at my fingertips, already on my device, then it already takes away like half the desire. It's like, yeah, I've seen it. Let's go find something new to do. But then I look around, what is there new to do? I could read a book. You know, I got this Mordecai Rickler, Barney's version. I'm a few pages in, and it's not that interesting. It's no different than movies I've seen. It's just worded more convolutedly, you know, somebody trying to be literary. But reading supposedly enhances the brain. And I've got Jules Verne book, which I'd never even heard of until I got it. And I've got something by an Israeli author or Jewish author. Maybe both, maybe neither. I don't know. It's got a Jewish sounding name. It's called Waking Lions, which hopefully I'll get through this Barney's version book and then read that Waking Lions. But the way I read, slowness I read, it might be a year or two before I get around to it. And by then I might have accumulated more books. You know, this Jules Verne book that's in my knapsack. When I'm on the bus and want something to read, I'll read that for a couple minutes, a couple pages. You know, typically at home, books sort of prop up my phone in bed so I can watch a movie or a TV show. Like when I get back, I want to watch some more Discovery. Star Trek Discovery was in the middle of an episode, and I want to see where they're going to take the season. You know, sometimes TV shows are very interesting. You know, this TV show, The Rookie, it had some interesting things at the beginning of the first season, and it's got a couple of interesting things here and there. And it's a cop show, you know, and it's not making fun of cops. It's showing how they work hard. You know, it's supposed to be the Israeli TV show, Shoter Tov. So it's an Israeli TV show about police, Shoter Tov, which basically just shows that the police force is corrupt or inept. You know, and I don't want to believe that. There was another one called Maniac, which I don't even remember. But it didn't seem to, in my opinion, show as the whole force was corrupt. It showed like one guy who was very, very dedicated to finding the truth, finding out who the criminals were in a specific situation. What I got out of a Shoter Tov was that the entire police force is corrupt and inept. You know, laughable. I don't want to believe that about the Israeli police force. I want to believe that they're doing what they're supposed to. That's a whole other question, what they're supposed to do, because, you know, the Torah doesn't even say what police are supposed to do. But assuming that, you know, they're keeping the peace amongst people, that people are not fighting, that people are fighting to segregate them, separate them. I remember there were a few women that complained to the police about things I'd sent on WhatsApp or SMS or email. And they told me, you know, you can't contact that woman anymore. And if you do, we're going to fine you 1,500 shekels. And that's a steep amount for a guy in my income bracket. You know, I kept on being worried that this Rena Naki woman would be a similar thing, that she would complain. But she sent me some pretty flaming messages. So, you know, if she went to the police, you know, it's like, look at both sides of the messages. I'm like, she just seems to be nasty to me. Sometimes, you know, she wasn't always. You know, 10% of the time, 50% of the time. Okay, I'm just about home, and I'm gonna close up this video. Wow, this is long, an hour-long video. I wonder how long it's gonna take to upload it. Anyways, hope if anybody watches it, they enjoy it.